And Laura Ingraham joins us now. Laura, can you tell we're two guys that stayed up till 11:30 to watch the end of that game?
Yes, I can. You're a little bleary-eyed, but the show is better the less sleep all of you get, especially headset.
We're a little delirious,
Much
a little
better.
crazy. Hey, Laura, we do want to mention the parents in that gorilla story that we've been talking about all morning. The parents, we just learned, will not be charged. But a lot of celebrities are just, they're in outrage over this story because they say that this gorilla's life matters too. What was your opinion of all of this?
When I first saw this story broke, I knew that this exact reaction is what we'd see. And I would preface this by saying, I'm such an animal freak that I actually am planning a trip to Rwanda to go see the great apes, and you can take that trek up the mountain, and you can go see them. So I'm like a wild conservationist. I love safaris, photographic safaris. Done it a bunch of times in Africa. So I preface all this by saying, hey, anytime you see an animal having to be shot in a situation like that, it's horrific. I will also say that this is now becoming the Cecil the Lion story of 2016.
Yep.
We have Hollywood celebrities who emit a collective yawn when we find out what really goes on in the abortuaries across this country, Planned Parenthood clinics, other abortion clinics, the way women are routinely lied to. We have about 1 million babies a year who are not born. We sell off their body parts like it's nothing. And you hear nothing. I mean, in fact, they celebrate it. Not only hear nothing, they celebrate that. But this happens, and it's a tragic, horrible situation. Of course, the Cleveland Zoo would rather not have done this. But the idea that this rises to this fever pitch level, it really is just, it's typical. It's the same thing with the dog commercials and the cages. It's heartbreaking to see an animal that is not adopted. But it's also heartbreaking that we have millions and millions and millions of children around the world who aren't adopted. And yet the advocacy for children either abandoned in this world or children who don't have the privilege of being born, they don't even discuss it. So that's the kind of way I look at it. I think it's horrible and sad. I'm glad the child is okay. But it really, I mean, we have veterans on the street who are eating out of garbage cans, and yet Hollywood is like having a candlelight vigil over one gorilla tragically having to be shot in this situation.
To save a child's life.
Right.
Yes.
On Memorial Day.
To save a child's life. So again, the child's life is secondary. The gorilla's life comes first. But again, you could predict that this exact thing was going to happen. So it doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, on Memorial Day, too. Meanwhile, let's look ahead and talk about something not life and death, but politics. It's all coming to an end, the primary season in 7 days. Before that happens, there was a tweet that shocked the Republican world, the conservative world, put out by Bill Kristol. They have a credible candidate ready to go that has a legitimate shot at winning. You see it up there. That's the tweet that went out. The majority leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, responded this way.
Well, that could only help elect Hillary Clinton, and I think after 8 years of Barack Obama, the last thing the country needs is 4 more years, just like the last 8. Donald Trump won this thing the good old-fashioned way. He got more votes than anybody else in primary after primary after primary, and I think we ought to respect the wishes of the Republican voters. They've chosen him as the candidate. Look at the alternative. I mean, it's true that both these candidates are pretty unpopular. But from a policy point of view, why would anybody in the conservative world want to do anything to elect Hillary Clinton? Given the alternative, I don't have any trouble at all supporting Donald Trump, and I hope everybody right of center does.
Your reaction to these developments and his reaction?
I can't figure out really what Bill's doing, and I've known Bill Kristol since I was 22 years old. We worked together at the Department of Education under Ronald Reagan. And at this point, Kristol is only helping Hillary. Mitch McConnell is exactly right. Clearly, McConnell's not thrilled about Donald Trump. That's obvious. But he's also a pragmatist, and he sees where the momentum is and where the Republican Party is going. It's going to a more populist direction. I guess Bill Kristol doesn't like that. He doesn't like a lot about Donald Trump. I get it, and that's fine. He has a right to feel that way. But, for my perspective, I'm focusing on the real threat to the future of this country, which is Hillary Clinton. And I think Donald Trump, if I'd give him advice, I'd say it's like spitballs off a battleship. I wouldn't even focus on Bill Kristol. I'd focus my entire campaign on defeating Hillary nationally, not just in Ohio or Florida, but a national campaign for American renewal. And, I see Trump is like responding to Kristol and tweets. Stop doing that. That's just giving him more, more publicity and more oxygen. And You know, if I were Bill Kristol, I'd be worried that my magazine would start being, you know, spelled a different way, like W-E-A-K-L-Y, and maybe start figuring out why MSNBC is booking you all the time. You know, he's like the go-to guest now at MSNBC. So God bless Bill Kristol. I've always really liked him, but you know, this is only helping Hillary, and I'm focusing all my attention on defeating her.
Well, a lot going on, obviously, on the Republican side, but on the Democrat side, speaking of Hillary Clinton, I mean, she's bolting out of New Jersey, news reports today, to head to California to stave off a surging Bernie Sanders. This while there was a report, the Huffington Post, a writer, you may have seen this as well. Yeah. You're far more careful about what gets published on your website, but they deleted an article that said that Hillary's indictment was imminent, and then the author, after it was deleted, said, "I don't know why it was deleted because I believe what I wrote," and they won't tell him why. What do you make of Hillary fleeing New Jersey and then this Huffington Post non-story?
Yeah, the HuffPo deletion is curious. I don't know if it's an editorial decision because they're trying to protect Hillary, or if they thought it was put up over the holiday weekend when it wasn't properly fact-checked. I can't get into their heads on that. But on the California stuff, guys, I would not be surprised if Bernie Sanders pulled off a big upset in California. California is in big trouble. It's flooded, of course, with immigrants, but also there's a huge dissatisfaction in the Democrat Party, the base of the party in California, with the establishment wing of the party. Bernie Sanders has lit up this kind of faux populist fire in the Golden State, and I just would not be surprised if he pulled off an upset, which would be terribly damaging to the Clinton campaign. She better get to California because I think Bernie's looking pretty strong going in. It would be a big story. I'm not positive about this, but I don't know. I feel like the momentum's with Bernie. The money is with Hillary and the superdelegates, but the momentum is with Bernie Sanders.
But Laura, it's not a winner take all. She'll probably go over the threshold and get the nomination and be going to huge cheers. Where does Sanders go over the next month? He does not seem like a guy that's slowing down or cares at all about the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and I know it's not winner take all, but the psychic damage and the brand damage to the Clintons if they don't just really trounce him in that state, I think you can't underscore how it would cement the idea of her weakness and her inability to connect with the regular working class Democrat in a state as important as California. And that's why I would really watch Donald Trump in California. I think he's going to play a national campaign. He's not going to do the old-fashioned focus on, just Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Florida campaign. I think he's going to make a big push for California, and I think he's going to try to pick up some of those Bernie Sanders supporters. Even 10% would be a big difference for him in come November.
All right, Laura Ingraham, founder and editor-in-chief of LifeZette. Thank you, Laura. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.